Excellent comeback here. Here in Northeast Spain, there's a British school called King's College. All the teachers are British and the students are Spanish. And one of the kids in the class said the word 20, and the teacher got really angry and said, "You've got to say 20." And the kid said, "Why?" And the teacher said, "Because you see a T in the word 20, you have to pronounce all the letters that you see. You don't have the right not to pronounce the final T in the word 20." Later, the kid said, "Water, water." Again, the teacher said the rule, you must pronounce all the letters in the word. You don't have the right not to pronounce a letter. And the kid said, but then, what is the rule then? And the teacher said on the blackboard with chalk, when you see letters in words, you have to pronounce them. You don't have the right to just jump over them and not pronounce them. You have to say water and 20. You have to pronounce all the letters in the word. Well, later the kid took the chalk and went up to the blackboard. There's a Spanish kid, and he wrote TWO, the number 2, and said to the teacher, pronounce that word. And the teacher said 2, not TWO. And the kid said, but look at the rule that you wrote 5 minutes ago here on the blackboard. You've got to pronounce all the letters in the words. How come you're not following your own rule? And the teacher said, well, in this word, you don't follow the rule. And then the kid wrote 8, and the teacher did not say ich, the number 8. And Nine, the teacher did not say Nina, the teacher said 9. And finally, the kid said to the class, in most of these words, you are breaking your own rule. You're not pronouncing all the letters. And finally, the teacher had to erase that rule and say, well, the rule is not that you pronounce all the letters in all the words. The rule is that in some words you pronounce all the letters, and in others you don't, and you mustn't. And the kid said, but how do we know? And the teacher said, well, just listen to me the way I talk, and that's when you'll know. In some words you have to pronounce all the letters, and in some words you mustn't pronounce all the letters. And the kid said, well, then the rule is it's chaos. There's no rule. I mean, it's just chaos. You don't know when to, what. And the kid finally said to the teacher, that you make fun of the Americans because they don't pronounce all the letters in the words, but you don't do it either. I mean, the only difference is the Americans do it more than the British do it. British pronounce all the letters in all the words in maybe 3% of the words. In 97% of the words, the British do not pronounce all the letters in the words. Okay? The Americans do it maybe 99% of the time or 98% of the time. Anyway, it was a wonderful comeback from a kid who, in 5 minutes, explained to the teacher her own rule was not being followed by her. I mean, the English language is a language full of words where we don't pronounce all the letters. But it seems ironic that when Americans say 20, British think that that's low class, we should say 20. Yet the British turn around and say 2 instead of TWO, and 9 instead of Nine, and 8 instead of echt, and house instead of hausi. They don't pronounce the letters in millions of words, but it's considered the correct way of speaking. So the rule at the end becomes that, when a British person pronounces all the letters, you have to, and when they don't, you have to follow what they say. That becomes the rule, which basically, in one word, is chaos. That's not a language at all. That's just a chaotic way of communicating. And the only difference is the Americans are a little more chaotic than the British are.